Woof woof! Hello everybody, Shuffle Woof here with a new album review. Today we will be discussing the new UNSORTED album, Emotional Ambience. UNSORTED is one of a few aliases under a label called Razor Dream Collective. The label is made up of a group of fictional characters, including Blender Gore, Angel Guts, Fishbone, World's End Lover, Sakukan, and Menadril. Out of all the aliases, UNSORTED seems to be the first character that attempts more ambient works. Emotional Ambience is an ambient and electronic album full of distortion and noise. Conceptually, this album is trying to describe different emotions through sound, one emotion per track. While I think UNSORTED pulls this off successfully on most of the tracks, I do have to say this album is pretty harrowing. No matter what emotion is being described, UNSORTED is able to evoke uneasiness that is sure to keep your attention, especially if you are a fan of this genre. After an ominous and lightly distorted intro track featuring some tape sounds, we go right into the first emotion, affectionate/sensual. This is one of the softer pieces on the album, what with its serene, soft pads in the high end that color the track. I am a huge fan of the textured distortions in the lower register, which could also be patched with some post-processing. While we have had some distorted sounds already, and even more distorted lead wiggles in halfway through, adding some unease. We end on a heavenly pad and a distorted delay effect, the latter of which will come up a few more times on this album. Given how mildly unsettling this intro track is, the fact it is called affectionate/sensual should be a good gauge for how much scarier things are about to sound. The next track, May 20th, 20XX, is the only main track where the emotion it is depicting is unclear to me from its title. Perhaps it is nostalgia or describing some sort of memory? Regardless, I am loving the mechanical bird chirps that make up the beginning of this one. This album tends to abstract sounds in a way I love. After some more abstract and chopped noise, we cut to what sounds like a song coming from a kid's toy, which is what makes me believe this track is going for nostalgia. I assume this sample has significance to the creator. Lovers of weird core aesthetics may enjoy this one. Winter euphoria is not something I have considered as an emotion before, but I am happy to hear it put to sound. I like the soft distortions here and how they hit my ear like crunching snow. The synths feel cold and there is a cute buzzing arpeggiator that repeats itself a few times amid the otherwise eerie vibes. The next track is True Happiness, and while I have enjoyed the album up to now, I feel things really start to get deeper from this point on. The pads and arpeggiators here are heavenly, the whole track having an equally chilling and calm vibe. I love how soft this one feels, while still being clearly distorted. If you do consider True Happiness to be the calm, though, the next tracks are definitely the storm. The brief but terrifying Hurt interlude starts with some light pads, but very quickly ramps up into a sharp and anxiety-inducing chord that makes me flinch every time. While this track is short, it has to be one of the best at describing its labeled emotion. It leads in beautifully to the next track, Internal Loneliness, which is host to some of the album's most unsettling sounds. The harsh distortions on this one reminds me a lot of Yubo's work, for those who are a fan of her. There are high synths that whimper at you, and instruments that are so distorted I cannot identify them with certainty. I like the dynamics in this track. It is thrilling and very engaging. Perhaps the most unsettling track of all is Betrayal Hurts the Most. The very start of this track, which sounds like a distorted guitar and an invasive ringing, is like the musical equivalent of getting hit by a bus, in the best way possible. While some may see this as pure noise, I am in love with how deeply it ties into the concept for the track. It is very jarring already, but then the soft pads on top add so much depth, like the realization of betrayal is sinking in further. The track ends on a sound that is distorted enough to almost sound like screaming. It is truly intense. The most depressing track is the one that follows, Death of a Loved One/Anxiety. The lead synth here, impressively, sounds like it is sobbing. There are also mechanical noises hanging in the background everywhere, adding to how glitchy and isolated this one feels. Absolutely chilling. I am floored by the sound design. We end on a more hopeful note with I Think That I'm Going to Be Okay. It is the album's longest track, beginning with warm pads and a cold squeaking lead. I love the wet textures of the arpeggiators that come in, the vibrating horn-like drone, and the hits of distorted noise in the high end. There are more animal-like chirps that appear here, pairing with some pads to make the track feel more serene, which ties well into the optimistic concept. In suit with the rest of the album, though, the rest of the production is still unnerving, and I am truly on the edge of my seat until the album ends. Overall, this is an intensely emotional listen, and I implore any fans of noise, electronic, or ambient to give this one a shot. This is full of creative and well-crafted sound design. This album is an incredible payoff for all the emotions that must have gone into it. Unsorted, you shuffled my woofs. Woof woof.